that there was a tender for supply of mosquito nets that was cancelled in May 2023. Then a local company that was an agent of the supplier was following for the return of its bid bond in July, 2 months after the cancellation of the tender. How can you influence a tender that was cancelled 2 months ago? I told you it will move from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Now, the more interesting one is at paragraph 78A. You will be told that His Excellency bullied Kenya Medical Supplies Agency officials into awarding a tender for the supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited. Good people, Crystal Limited was not even a bidder for that tender. He pressurized people to award it to somebody who is not even a bidder for that tender. I observed it will move from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Those of us who understand this motion for what it is, understand why these panel beating maneuvers are being tried here. The motion as presented and approved by the National Assembly will remain in our constitutional history as the most embarrassing motion ever approved by a House of Parliament in the Commonwealth. We respectfully submit. You'll be told at paragraph 58 that His Excellency is reasonably suspected to be the principal beneficiary of what are called dubious transactions by Lusona Events Limited. You will then go to the allegations on Lusona Events Limited, and you'll want to see those transactions, how are they terminating to the Deputy President? You'll not come across any connection. They'll just say, a director of this company withdrew some money from his own company. The Deputy President is a director. None of his family members are director. That person withdrew money from his company, bought a motor vehicle in his own name. The mover will say, I'm therefore drawing a reasonable conclusion that the Deputy President is the beneficiary of this. Good people, the word reasonable has meaning known to law. I submit very respectfully that this falls short of the definition of the word reasonable suspicion. I submit it actually gravitates towards unreasonable suspicion. Now let's look at this. You'll be told that His Excellency has acquired 40 acres of land in Kakuret, Kamburaini in Nyeri. Evidence before you will show that this is land that the Deputy President in fact bought from a current member of the National Assembly. So he knows that member. In 2015, before he even joined state office as a member of parliament, you are told that the purchase of this land in 2015 shows that in the last 2 years, the Deputy President has amassed immense wealth. I began by saying, let's be elementarily decent. One of the most frustrating things about preparing for such a hopelessly conceptualized, hopelessly crafted, and hopelessly presented case is that you begin doubting yourself because you begin wondering, what am I not seeing? Land bought from a sitting member of the National Assembly in the year 2015 is supposed to be evidence that in the last 2 years, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has amassed immense wealth from the office of the President to acquire that property. Now, let's look at paragraph 45G. You'll be told that His Excellency has acquired 80 acres of land in Meru County. No land registration number is provided. Not even an affidavit of a neighbor who says, I know yes, this land is my neighbor. Just an allegation by the mover of this motion like that. And the Swahili say, ukistaajabu ya Musa utaona Firauni. This mover of this motion stood before the National Assembly and said, just believe me for this statement as it is. The first joke. The second joke, the National Assembly actually believed him and approved the motion. You'll be told that paragraph 45H, that His Excellency has acquired a dairy farm in Nyandarua County. Now, I guess we all have a common understanding of what a dairy farm is. His Excellency has no dairy farm in Nyandarua County. The move of this motion does not give us any evidence of this dairy farm in Nyandarua County. You'll be told that His Excellency has used the office of the Deputy President to corruptly influence unnecessary and expensive renovation of his official residence in Karen and Mombasa. What will shock you is this, good people. The contract for the renovation of the official residence of the Deputy President was signed by the controller of State House. Unless the move of this motion wants to make a claim that the Deputy President conspired with the State House to have this contract executed. Number two, it will be known to all of us as members of Parliament that the money for renovation of this official residence was approved by the National Assembly. Is the National Assembly conceding that it approved money for unnecessary expenditure by government? How can the National Assembly approve money for use for renovation of the residence of the Deputy President, then after that money is used for the intended purpose, the renovation of the official residence of the President, now drag the Deputy President for impeachment for the reason of that renovation? I said it will move through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. You'll be told that the Deputy President has a helicopter landing facility at his land, Ruguru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madeira. The Deputy President simply has no helicopter landing pad on that farm, a small parcel of land with the napier grass, unless the mover of this motion can now convince us that new technology has emerged, that napier grass is the constructing material for landing pads for aircrafts. That's the only way it can make sense. But because it doesn't make sense, good people, you'll agree with me, it moves from the false through the ridiculous to the embarrassing. Now let's deal with it. You'll be told the Deputy President has amassed a wealth portfolio amounting to 5.2 billion shillings. Elementarily, we must then look at the particularization. Tell us which one is what plus which one is what plus which one is what to amount to this 5.2 billion. This figure, the origin, is only known to the mover of this motion. There is nothing on the body of the motion. There is nothing in the documents attached to the motion. There is nothing in the video clips to be played by the mover of this motion that tells us mathematically how he arrived at this figure of 5.2 billion shillings. Then when the charges were read, distinguished senators, you had some 22 companies being read one by one. Thank you. 22 companies. A number of things will surprise you. You'll just find a company listed called Spiritway Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has this company done. Nothing in the motion, completely. It just listed there the way it is. Fortis Vis Group Limited. Nothing in this motion tells us what wrong has Fortis Vis Group Limited done. They're just companies whose names have been listed, and we have spent the taxpayers' money this afternoon listening to these companies' names being written with nothing in this motion telling us. So what wrong has Dorcas Rigathi Foundation done? What act are you complaining of for that company? What omission are you complaining of in respect of that company? Heartland Supplies Limited. You just find a name of a company there. No wrongdoing is alluded to it. No allegation is made against it. They're just companies thrown there. Distinguished senators, the Romans called their assembly, which was the equivalent of this Senate, the patres. It was an advisory council. That name was derived from an old Latin word meaning father. Senate derives its name from the Latin word senex, meaning old man. All these words are supposed to address the sagacious, the state of wisdom of the Senate. If this Senate lives true to its historical origin as the patres, if this Senate lives true to its Latin origins as the senex, the old man, the wise man, it will see through these lies, it will see through this ridiculousness, it will see through these embarrassing statements. If time were to permit, I will take you through other allegations that meet the same test of falsehood, ridiculousness, and embarrassment. Fortunately for us, the rules of procedure permit us to cross-examine the move of this motion and the respective witnesses as a way of bringing forth these lies much more clearly. We shall do that when the time presents itself. At the end of it all, we shall beseech you to do two things: to be true to your oath of office as senators, to be true to your oath of office as senators, to pour through this evidence, to listen keenly to this evidence, to make a decision premised on the evidence as tested here in cross-examination. And if you do that, we have no doubt in our mind, you will reach the same conclusion that what has been presented before you as a most consequential motion, perhaps in our lifetime, is false, is ridiculous, is embarrassing. I rest the governor's opening statement.
That is the Deputy President Council. There's no the governor.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker. I have been here multiple times on governance, and I think that is what was reigning in my mind. I rest the Deputy President's opening statement. My apologies for that.
Very well. Now, honorable senators will now move to hear the case of the National Assembly. Now, the National Assembly has 3 hours to present its case, meaning all the witnesses, evidence in chief, cross-examination will be given 2 hours. The legal team for the Deputy President, you'll have 2 hours to cross-examine the witnesses as presented by the National Assembly. Clerk, you may now usher in the first witness of the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, as we wait for the witness, I crave, if it finds favor with you, one of my assistants could come to help us with turning the pages. I reckon that way we would move much faster. He's called Boniface Mawira. He should be perhaps in the gallery.
That's a valid request. You may proceed. Counsel for the National Assembly, where are your witnesses coming from? They're taking too long.
I think they must be in room 4, Honorable Speaker. Our first witness is the Honorable Ekomas Mwingi Mutuse, who was the mover of the motion.
Are you sure he's not deserted you?
It is always a risk in this type of business, Honorable Speaker, but I'm sure he's around.
So, Counsel, before you proceed, you first introduce yourself and the team.
Yes, for the record, Honorable Speaker, my name is Mudhomi Viankolu. I'll be doing the exam-in-chief on behalf of the National Assembly. I shall be assisted in that enterprise by my learned friend, Mr. Peter Manyonge Wanyama. I will cover grounds 1, 5, 6, and 7, and my learned friend will lead the witness in respect of the other grounds in the motion.
May the witness take the oath.
I, Mwengi Mutuse, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Your 3 hours starts running from now.
So, good afternoon, sir. Again, just for the record, confirm your name and what you do for a living.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, my name is Mwengi Mutuse. I'm the Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West constituency, and I was the mover of the instant motion that is before your consideration in the National Assembly. I am also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya by profession.
So, great. Let's go straight to the motion due to the constraints of time. Honorable Speaker, the motion is in volume 1 of the Assembly's bundle of documents. And allegation number 1 runs from pages 3 to 10 of volume 1. So, without much ado, Honorable Mutuse, let's go to allegation number 1 of your impeachment motion. Can you tell the Senate in very condensed summary what is the grievance you have raised against His Excellency the Deputy President?
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Senators, on our ground 1 allegation against the Deputy President is that he has violated various articles of the Constitution that we have listed, being Article 10.2a, 10.2b, Article and C, Article 27, Article 731a, Article 732b, 751c, Article 129, as well as Article 147.1 as read together with Article 131.2c and b. And basically, what we are saying is that the Deputy President in the last 2 years has been in various places within the Republic of Kenya and has been publicizing a notion that Kenya is a company that is owned by shareholders, and only those who have shares in the company called Kenya, according to him, will benefit in terms of development and service delivery from the Republic. And it is our contention that Kenya is not a company. Kenya is a republic that is supposed to serve all Kenyans. And the particular articles of the Constitution that we have cited because of time also speak to the functions of the Deputy President being able to promote national unity, and the country, citizens of Kenya being able to receive services and development from the government, including appointments, without discrimination. So that is in short.
Let's quickly go through some of those provisions. If you could be shown the preamble to our Constitution, what does the third paragraph say?
Mr. Speaker, honorable senators, the preamble to our Constitution, and I read the third paragraph: proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity. Underline ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation. One indivisible sovereign nation.
We'll come to the evidence you have adduced to support this shortly, but are the utterances you complain about consistent with that constitutional provision?
Definitely not at all.
Let's go quickly to Article 10. What does it say?
Article 10(1). The national values and principles of governance in this article bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them A, applies or interprets this Constitution, B, enacts, applies or interprets any law, or C, makes or implements public policy decisions.
But, honorable member, someone would say these are just utterances and we surely can't remove a deputy president from office because he has a loose tongue or something like that. What is the problem with these utterances in the context of our history as the Republic of Kenya?
Number one, the constitutional context is that they bind all state officers and the deputy president is a state officer. So there are no two ways. You cannot choose the laws to obey and which not to obey. But number two, we have also had an history in our country. All of us would remember that we had clashes in Likoni in 1992 where populations were displaced. We had problems in Molo, every other cycle of election cycle, 1992, 1997. Even most recently, the country almost torn apart during the post-election violence of 2007 and 2008. There are examples within the region. Rwanda, Burundi is still struggling. As we speak today, Congo is fighting. Across the globe, Yugoslavia, there has been problems, Bosnia, all these countries. And they all began from utterances of this nature.
So is it your testimony, therefore, that utterances of the type we're about to see are a threat to the very existence of Kenya as a republic?
Indeed, that is my testimony.
Is our lived history consistent with the submission that those are not utterances that should emanate from the Deputy President of the Republic?
Not just the Deputy President of the Republic, but not from any citizen of the Republic.
But Honorable Mutuse, have you placed any evidence? You say the Deputy President has been doing this for 2 years. Have you placed any material to prove this allegation?
Yes. We have placed videos, evidence in the form of videos that have been recorded in meetings where the Deputy President has been attending, being video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, video 8, and video 11, which contain utterances of the Deputy President in that regard.
Mr. Speaker, I request we play video number 1 from the National Assembly set of videos.
Sisi lazima tungeangalia nyinyi. Hii serikali ni kampuni na ni ya shares. Si ndio? Ni ya shares. Kuna wenye kampuni, wale wako na shares mingi, kuna wale wako na chache, kuna wale hawana. Sasa nyinyi mliinvest kwa hii kampuni ya William Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua. Sasa lazima mvune. Yule ambaye alipanda atafanya nini? Simulipanda? Simuliamuka mapema? Mukasema mutaki kusikia mambo ya ile system na nini? Muka invest, mukapanda, mukapalilia, mukaweka mbolea, mukamwagilia maji, wakati ya kuvuna ndio huu. Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Na hiyo wengine wananikashifu ati mimi nasema ati wale walipanda wavune kwanza. Iko makosa? Iko makosa? Hata hao watavuna lakini wangoje. Si wale walipanda ni wavune kwanza. Wakishavuna wavune ile tabaki kidogo, wale wakupanda waingie watafute huko nini ile itapatikana wachukue wakwende. Si iko namna hiyo? Na itakuwa namna hiyo. Ndio watu wakipiga kura waelewe hii kura ni kusema nini. Hii kura iko na maana. Nyinyi hamwezi piga kelele huko, mpige kelele. Mnasema William Ruto ni bure, hawezi, mnaita yeye majina, alafu akipata, akikawa, mnapiga laini ati mko pale mbele. Ati mnataka mpite wale walisema anafaa ati mkue pale mbele. Inawezekana? Mimi kazi yangu pale kwa Ikulu ni hiyo. Ni kupanga hiyo laini. Hapo ni kazi mimi napanga hapo. Mimi naangalia kwa laini, nikiona wewe ulipanda, natoa wewe nyuma, napeleka wewe mbele.
Because of the constraint of time, Honorable Mutuse, what did these utterances mean and what were they understood by any fair-minded Kenyan to mean?
The ordinary meaning is that there are Kenyans who are supposed to benefit from the Kenyan government, and there are other Kenyans who are not supposed to benefit from the Kenyan government. And His Excellency the Deputy President will make sure only those who voted for the present government benefit from the government. And those who did not vote for the government will not get any benefits because they are not shareholders.
Are those utterances consistent with the national value of human dignity in Article 10B?
Not at all.
Are they consistent with the value of national unity in Article 10A?
Not at all.
Are they consistent with social justice in Article 10(2)B?
Not at all.
What about inclusiveness?
Indeed, they are divisive.
What about equality?
Not at all.
What about non-discrimination?
They are very discriminative.
What about protection of the marginalized?
They do not protect the marginalized, they marginalize them further.
We could go on and on, sir. Are those utterances consistent with any of the articles you claim in ground one have been violated?
Not at all.
Let's play video number 2, Honorable Speaker.
President Rigathi Gachagua again brought up the political shareholding narrative, saying the Kenya Kwanza administration will prioritize Kenyans who voted for it in the distribution of government employment slots and development projects. Well, Gachagua spoke in Nandi County, where he led other government officials in a church service and thereafter a fundraiser at Kurgung Boys High School. Ayub Abdikadir reports.
Mosop constituency in Nandi County offered Gachagua a platform to amplify his narrative about the government being a shareholding entity that apparently belongs to those who voted for it, calling on the people of Nandi County to remain patient as the state works on development projects and employment opportunities that would prioritize Kenya Kwanza supporters.
Rais ako pale. Niko hapo. Huyu Felix ako hapo. Rais mnamjua. Mimi mnanijua msimamo yangu. Ya kwamba watoto wakiwa wengi kuna wale kwanza ya kuangaliwa, si mnajua? Sasa huyu Felix ako pale ndio mwenye kuunganisha mawaya. Mambo yetu tumepanga.
His remarks similar to the last time he sparked public debate by hinting at preferential treatment for Kenyans who voted for the government.
Mambo iko sawa. Chakula iko jikoni, karibu kuiva. Watoto ni wengi, chakula ni kidogo. Iko watoto ya nyumbani, iko wajirani, iko namna hiyo, na nyinyi mtulie. Chakula ikiiva, sisi ndio wenye kupakua. Na watoto tunawajua kwa sura na kwa msimamo. Hatuwezi kuwa confused. Kuna mtu wajua watoto yake.
The deputy president who led other Kenya Kwanza leaders for a church service and thereafter a fundraiser at Kurgung Boys High School also outlined measures.
Let's play In the interest of time, Mr. Speaker, I want to play all of them, then I'll put the questions. Let's hear video number 3, I believe.
Gachagua says he has no apologies to make over his shareholders' narratives, saying those who voted in the Kenya Kwanza government should reap big from the government.
Well, Gachagua, who was speaking in Nandi County, where he led a fundraiser towards the construction of the ACK Plaza in Kapsabet town, also dismissed claims that there are differences between himself and President William Ruto. Martin Munene has the details.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua was in President William Ruto's Rift Valley backyard on Sunday, where he presided over a fundraiser in aid of Kapsabet ACK Church. And here the DP made it clear that he was not backing down on his shareholders' gospel that has left a bad taste in many people's mouths.
I am unapologetic to demand and to insist that those who believed in William Ruto and supported him to a man have every right to benefit immensely from his government. I have no apology.
Let's play video number 4, 8, and 11 in that sequence.
Serikali, a government is like a company. There is shareholding. Kuna wale who have invested a lot of shares. Kuna wale wameweka kidogo. Kuna wale wamekataa. Lakini wote ni wa Kenya. So ndio tukasema kama wewe umeenda kupanda mahindi, ama wacha nipeane example ya ng'ombe kwa sababu niko Kajiado. Wewe uko na ng'ombe yako ya maziwa. Hiyo ng'ombe imezaliwa ikiwa njao, umeichunga vizuri, umepatia majani, umenunulia dairy mill, umepatia chumvi, umepeleka kwa malisho, umepatia maji, imezaa, imeanza kukamuliwa. Wewe unatakiwa kwanza ukuwe mtu ya kwanza kukamua hiyo ng'ombe na kukunywa maziwa. Serikali, a government is like a company. There is shareholding. Kuna wale who have invested a lot of shares. Kuna wale wameweka kidogo. Kuna wale wamekataa. Lakini wote ni wa Kenya. So ndio tukasema kama wewe umeenda kupanda mahindi, ama wacha nipeane example ya ng'ombe kwa sababu niko Kajiado. Wewe uko na ng'ombe yako ya maziwa. Hiyo ng'ombe imezaliwa ikiwa njao.
We can go to the next because we see an element of repetition. Let's go to the next video.
Mimi nilisema pale Kericho watu Azimio wakanipigia kelele. Nikasema Kenya hii kila mtu afanyiwe kazi. Kwa sababu kila mtu analipa kodi. Na hao wabunge wakiongozwa na Kimani Ichung'wa wako pale bunge. Wagawe pesa kwa kila mtu Kenya. Na hivyo ndivyo inaendelea.
Yes, video number 11.
Fika watu ya kukusaidia. Utatafuta.
The good people of Homa Bay, that I am going to work with your leaders, the ones you have elected, so that we can develop our country together. Competition is over. Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano? Si tumemaliza mambo ya mashindano? Si ile kazi imebaki ni sisi kuwafanyia kazi sasa? Si ni kweli? Muko tayari kufanya kazi na mimi? Munasema nifanye kazi na viongozi wenu wale mliowachagua. Mimi nawahakikishia nitafanya kazi na wao, ndio tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Homa Bay, tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Kenya, ndio tuweze kupeleka taifa letu mbele. Tuondoe umaskini, tupange ajira ya hawa vijana, tupunguze gharama ya chakula, na tupange mambo ya maendeleo ya Kenya, tutengeneze nchi ambayo kila Mkenya anajivunia kuwa Mkenya.
So Motusa, you know, we could play these videos on and on. Unfortunately, time is not with us. But please confirm that you have presented before Senate utterances made by the Deputy President on this theme in Kitui. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In Nandi, is that correct?
That is correct.
In Kericho, is that correct?
That is correct.
In Kajiado?
That is correct.
Please confirm it is in public domain. These utterances have been made in very many other places. These were just illustrations.
Indeed, I suspect they have been made even in the counties represented by the senators seated here.
Have these been isolated aberrations, or has it been a consistent campaign and mantra by the Deputy President across the Republic?
It has been consistent, and as the Deputy President says, unapologetic.
But you also played for us a video where the President is speaking. How does it compare with the utterances and the campaign by his deputy?
The President is preaching national unity, and I believe that is a function assigned to the President under Article 131 of the Constitution, to be a symbol of national unity. And the Deputy President is also required to deputize the President in performance of his functions. And therefore it will be expected that the Deputy President will take cue. Instead, the Deputy President is contradicting the President.
We have seen these events covered by a major television station, right?
Indeed.
Does that television, to the best of your knowledge, have national or is it local coverage?
National, and sometimes, and some of them regional coverage.
Should the Deputy President of the Republic have the wisdom to know his utterances will be conveyed to the country and the world?
Indeed, yes.
We saw him talking about children that belong to the family, and although we don't use the language these days, some illegitimate children. Who was he calling children from outside the home, or the illegitimate ones?
Looking in totality for Moi's videos, he must have made those who voted for Kenya Kwanza as the legitimate children, and those who did not vote for Kenya Kwanza as the legitimate children.
We have seen him saying he has no apologies to make, notwithstanding that these utterances, to quote the media house, were leaving a bad taste in the mouths of many people. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yes, he is very loudly clear that he has no apologies to make for referring to Kenya, for saying Kenya is a company belonging to shareholders for the benefit of the shareholders.
That defiance and the stance that he has no apology to make, does it depict the deportment of a man or a woman who should be the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya?
Not at all.
But you heard his counsel say that there must be some extraordinary wrongdoing before we can impeach for mere utterances or for the things you have alleged. To the best of your knowledge, sir, how many vice presidents or deputy presidents has Kenya had since 1963? In your estimate, how many?
11.
11.
11 or thereabout?
Let's say a dozen, 12, right?
Yes.
Do we have in our history since 1963 experience of a deputy president who traverses the country preaching ethnic exclusion?
I don't remember any. The only incident I remember, two incidences, when Jaramogi differed with Kenyatta and he did the moral thing, resigned from government. I also remember an incident, I think it was Vice President Murumbi, who also differed with the then president and did the honorable thing and resigned from government.
Those were the first two vice presidents. Daniel Arap Moi was at that. Do you know of any incident where Daniel Arap Moi was moving around this country as vice president,
Indeed,
committing this type of wrongdoing?
No, not at all.
How about Mwai Kibaki?
In fact, even when he was demoted, he continued working in cabinet.
How about Josephat Karanja?
Not at all.
How about George Saitoti?
Even when he was sacked, he continued being loyal to the government of the day.
How about Musalia Mudavadi?
In his short stint, nothing is heard about him undermining his boss.
How about
Dividing the country?
Modi Awori?
Not at all.
Kalonzo Musyoka?
Not at all.
So when we are told there is nothing extraordinary about this wrongdoing, is that consistent with the lived reality of Kenya?
There is everything extraordinary when a country of 46 tribes, someone advocates for the servicing of less than 2 of those communities. Where will the 44 go?
Given the politics of 41 against 1 in 2007 and the post-election violence, would this allegation be extraordinary wrongdoing?
It is an extraordinary wrongdoing. In fact, the post-election violence that resulted from that particular kind of campaign was in itself extremely dangerous to our social fabric and extremely dangerous to our economy.
Given the experience of the Molo and Likoni clashes in the 90s, would this be extraordinary wrongdoing coming from the second senior-most state officer?
Indeed, and also when it is remembered that he was a district officer in Molo when those clashes were happening.
Given what is going on right now as we speak in Tana River, would conduct like this emanating from none other than the deputy of the president be extraordinary misconduct?
I have seen in news that there are families that are displaced, people have lost property, and if that is not extraordinary, then I do not know what extraordinary means.
Given, sir, and I will summarize this, what this type of campaign achieved in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Sudan, in South Sudan, in former Yugoslavia, in Nigeria, the Biafra War, and we could count and count until the cows go home. Can anyone be heard in good conscience to say that this is not extraordinary misconduct?
Indeed, this is very extraordinary, requiring impeachment.
Please confirm, because we are pressed for time, that the evidence you're relying on this ground applies equally to allegation number 5 of your motion.
Just a minute to confirm.
What is your complaint in allegation number 5? Allegation number 5, Mr. Speaker, will be at page 16 to 17 of volume 2.
Allegation number 5. Just a minute. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, our allegation number 5 relates to gross violation of Article 3(1) of the Constitution and Article 148(5)(a) of the Constitution, which specifically is in relation to the breach of the oath of office and allegiance.
Does the oath of office require the deputy president to promote national unity or the shareholder politics?
The oath of office demands of the deputy president to promote national unity.
And what is your complaint in ground number 6, sir?
In ground number 6,
that again is on page 16 to 17, Mr. Speaker.
Ground number 6 is about serious reasons to believe that the deputy president has committed a crime under national law pursuant to Article 151(b) and 2 of the Constitution.
And what is the specific complaint?
The specific complaint is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 13(1)(a) and 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act.
Can you please read for us those sections of the law?
Section 13 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act provides that it is an offense.
Honorable Speaker, that section will be in volume 7 of the Assembly's documents.
That it is an offense for any person to use threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior where the person intends to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination. The section also makes it an offense to use words or engage in such behavior when, having regard to all the circumstances, ethnic hatred is likely to be stirred up.
Is ethnic hatred likely to be stirred up by this campaign of shareholding?
Obviously.
Is it likely to stir up ethnic contempt?
Obviously.
What does Section 62 say?
Section 62 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act states that a person commits an offense when the person makes statements that are intended or are likely to stir up feelings of ethnic contempt, hatred, hostility, violence, or discrimination.
Are the utterances by the Deputy President likely to trigger any of those things?
Yes, indeed.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Mutuse, that law you just read, National Cohesion and Integration, wasn't it the law Parliament enacted to ensure we never go back to where our country was in 2007, 2008, because of utterances like this?
It was pursuant to the post-election violence, and the country resolved that we needed a law as a result. And therefore, it is a law that is supposed to ensure that we in office live to promote national unity and not the opposite.
Given that history and why that law exists, sir, we repeat the question. Has the Deputy President committed ordinary or extraordinary wrongdoing?
He has, under Article 150 of the Constitution, in relation to this ground, there are serious reasons to believe that he has committed wrongs against the National Cohesion and Integration Act, and if extraordinary in nature. And if you allow me, these are not my words. I have been accused of urging the National Assembly to believe me. These are not my words, they are words of the Constitution under Article 150.
Thank you. I want us, Mr. Speaker, we're urging the Senate, if you consider the evidence so far adduced, then that evidence applies to ground 1, 5, and 6. So we are prosecuting them together to save on time. Let's go to allegation number 7, sir. Mr. Speaker, that allegation runs from pages 17 to 31. It was the one you were told runs from falsehoods, culminating in the embarrassing and other things. Let's see whether it is actually falsehoods, embarrassing, and the other adjectives that we were told. And I would urge members to work with me by holding volume 2A of the Assembly's documents, together with our volume 6. 6, I only mention it briefly. Please confirm, sir, at page 2 of volume 6, who, as between you and the Deputy President, as passions were cast, that you're referring to irrelevant material about the estate of the late Rigathi Gachagua. Between you and the Deputy President, who has brought up this issue of the estate? Is it you or is it him?
In the response by the Deputy President, on page 2 of volume 6, he did bring out the issue of the estate of his late brother in response to the allegations that he has acquired properties worth 5.2 billion within the period that he has been Deputy President.
So we'll come back to that document much later. I'm only mentioning it now, sir, to clear the air, whether it is you trying to whip emotions by bringing up this matter, or it is the Deputy President attempting, by his own response, to hide behind the shadow of his late brother.
I never mentioned any of my deceased relatives. I have them, but I never mentioned any. The Deputy President is the one who mentioned his deceased relatives.
He's actually the one who has brought this material, isn't it?
Indeed.
Good. Now we'll come to it. Let's go back to your allegation. Ground number 7, sir. Can you tell the Senate in summary? We are so pressed for time. What is...
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, under ground number 7, our allegation is that there are serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 45(1), 46, 47(a)(3), and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, as well as Sections 2, 3, 4, and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and the Money Laundering Act. And in short, during the short period that I was doing research on this motion, I have come across properties that are registered in the name of the Deputy President or in the name of his children or other proxies that run cumulatively to a value of about 5.2 billion. And there is no clear trace of where the monies to purchase those properties came from, and therefore, under the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, qualify to be unexplained assets. Number 2, I have also listed companies that are associated with the Deputy President, 22 of them. And these companies, you look at the objects and purposes, they are all the same. And it is our theory and our evidence that these companies have been used for money laundering. Similarly, I have also listed companies that have been transacting with the office of the Deputy President, the office held by the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, with tremendous respect. And they are being paid from that office, and we have laid ground for serious reasons to believe that these companies are actually conduits for corruption, and that political responsibility, even when he's not the accounting officer, rests with the highest holder of that office. And that is the case we are making here. And we shall be showing the connection between the properties and His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. And in a case of unexplained assets, it is upon the person to show where they actually got the money to buy the assets. We have evidence that the assets belong to him.
Let's begin with the companies, Honorable Mutuse. You said you have attached Form CR12 to your motion.
Indeed, I have attached Form CR12 being evidence of ownership of those companies.
Would that be the Form CR12 on pages 8 all the way to 32 of Volume 2A?
Indeed, yes.
Honorable Speaker, it's Volume 2A, pages 8 to 32. Okay. It actually begins, Honorable Speaker, it's me who is mistaken. It's from page 1 to 32, right?
Indeed, yes.
And because we are stressed for time, sir, does this document show in black and white that the majority of these companies, the directors and shareholders, are either the Deputy President or his sons or his spouse?
Yes, they do, and senators will have opportunity to look at the Form CR12s. Many of them are under 2 weeks old, so they are very recent.
Let's go to the question of the purchase
and
of...
You can also independently confirm from the e-Citizen portal, it is only 650 shillings to do as a company search.
You have mentioned Treetops Hotel and Outspan Hotel in paragraph 45A.
Yes, indeed.
Let's confirm whether this is false, ridiculous, or embarrassing. Did the Deputy President issue a public address on the 7th of October in which he admitted acquiring these 2 hotels?
Yes, indeed, and it is part of our evidence.
So with that admission from him, can we be here to say your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
That is not expected from the son of Mau Mau.
Let's go to page 33, sir, of your volume 2A.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have been patiently waiting and restraining myself from raising.
Pause the time for the National Assembly, please. Proceed, Council.
I've been constraining myself when listening to the proceedings. And Council is testifying instead of the witness testifying. Number two, he's asking leading questions in examination in chief, and counsel understands the rules of examination.
A case in point, you're very general. A case in point?
The Hansons, Mr. Speaker, sir, will bear us witness, and the Senate is a custodian of the Hanson.
Counsel, I'm very alert. Any leading questions before you take your feet, I'll be able to object to it. I'm very alert to that. Proceed, Counsel.
Much obliged, Mr. Speaker. Let's go to page 33, sir. What is that document? On volume 2A?
On page 33, this is a discharge of charge between Wayne Holdings Limited and Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited.
Yes.
Drawn by the firm of Hamilton, Harris and Matthews.
On page 34, what is given as the amount of the loan being discharged?
The loan being discharged is 143,885,042 shillings.
Please confirm this loan is being discharged as of 30th October 2023.
Yes, the loan is being discharged as at of 30th October 2023. And the loan was to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited.
Would that mean this hotel was indebted before the Deputy President acquired it?
It was in evidence.
To what amount?
143,885,042 shillings.
Let's go to page 37. What is that document you have annexed, sir?
The document I've annexed here is a transfer instrument. Transfer to companies and limited liability partnerships.
Yes.
It is it's a document ordinarily that is used to transfer
interest in what?
Interest in property from one party to the next.
And who is acquiring that property according to this document?
The property, as at this time, belonged to Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited and is being transferred to Crystal Kenya Limited.
Is Crystal Kenya Limited a company linked to the Deputy President?
Yes, indeed, and we have annexed it's the form CR12.
In which page?
The form CR12 is on page 23 of our
volume 2A.
Of our volume 2A.
Who are given as the directors there?
The directors are one H.E Rigathi.
Who is that?
That is a son to Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
And the second director is Kevin Gachagua Rigathi.
Yes.
Also a son.
Now let's go back to 37. As the Deputy President in his response explained, where he got more than 500 million shillings, and to be precise, 535 million to acquire this hotel.
To begin with, the consideration for this transfer was Kenya shillings 535 million, and this needs to be added to the loan of 143 million.
Yes.
Cumulatively.
Yes.
So that you get the value, because the value of in terms of what was the purchase.
Yes.
In his response, and I have seen it, the Deputy President alludes that he got a loan of 600 million, that when he became Deputy President, he used to run this company called Crystal, but when he became Deputy President, he gave it to his children to run it. And he goes further to say that he got a loan of 600 million from the Credit Bank of Kenya.
Has he actually placed before this Senate evidence of the disbursement of any such loan?
I have seen a letter of offer for that loan, but I have not seen any evidence of disbursement nor any charge in respect of that loan.
Is a letter of offer loan evidence that a loan has actually been given?
A letter of offer is just that, an offer.
That letter is annexed of offer, says that as security for the supposed loan, there will be directors' guarantees. Has he annexed those directors' guarantees?
I have, to the best of my recollection, I have not seen them.
It says the loan will be secured by personal guarantees. Has he also annexed those personal guarantees?
I have not seen them.
Has he annexed any security known in the banking world for acquiring a loan of this amount?
What I have seen is, what I have seen in the letter of offer is at, I'm looking at it, is in terms of the lien and set-off at
Yes.
page 132 or 534, is that lien and set-off of a fixed
Please
deposit.
say which volume you're referring to on the page so that the Senate will walk with you.
Council, the senators would wish to know where the letter of offer is contained. Which volume?
The letter of offer,
and what-
Mr. Speaker,
Which page? What page?
It's in volume 6.
is in volume 6, starting from page 98.
Yes, walk us through that letter of offer.
So there is a letter of offer, meaning there was an application for a loan. And this is to the directors of Crystal Kenya Limited. Crystal Kenya Limited is the company that is acquiring Aberdare Safari lodges. And the loan is in respect of an amount of 600 million. And in the clause for lien and set-off, I have seen that a lien and set-off or fixed deposits, this is on page 99, in respect of INO Crystal Kenya Limited for an aggregate amount of 300 million to be obtained. Interest accrued shall be credited to your deposit settlement account.
Let's stick to that one for now. From elementary banking knowledge, what do we conclude from this issue of the 300 million?
My understanding is that the account held at the bank had 300 million shillings in cash, and that that amount was going to be part of the security for the loan.
So it means the deputy president or his sons had already cash in that account of 300 million shillings.
Yes, which is also an asset that we are counting in accumulating the 5.2 billion.
Now let's count that 300 million, 535 million, and the 143 million that had been to be paid to pave way for this transaction.
Indeed, yes.
In estimate, that would be like how much money?
535 plus 300
is 835.
835 plus 143, roughly $1 billion shillings.
Roughly $1 billion shillings.
In respect of one transaction.
Just one property. Now, if the deputy president were to save all his net salary for 10 years, would he be able to have savings of $1 billion shillings to acquire this hotel?
Not at all.
But because
from the non-source, legitimate source of income, which is his salary as deputy president, as gazetted by the SRC, roughly around 1.2 billion after taxation, an aggregate of $1 million shillings, it would not be possible to acquire $1 billion shillings within a period of 2 years.
Now, these three figures, whether it is the 143 million, or the 300 million, or the 535 million, as the deputy president in his response offered any legitimate explanation of how he or his very young sons came upon this incredible fortune of money?
Nowhere in the response, other than the letter of offer that is in itself not evidence of acquiring a loan.
At page 39, who are shown as the parties to this transaction for Abadere's hotel?
Page 39 of
volume 2A.
At page 39 of volume 2A, the parties to this transaction For Crystal Kenya Limited, Kevin Gachagua Rigathi and Keith Ikino Rigathi. For Aberdare Safari Hotels, there is Robert Gadenji.
Yes.
And Kenneth Waiboshi.
Are those two gentlemen you mentioned first related to the Deputy President?
Indeed, they are his children.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Mutusa, and will do it in the closing statement, does our Public Officer Ethics Act or the Leadership and Integrity Act, faced with facts like this, permit the Deputy President to hide behind his sons?
Not at all.
Is he allowed to hide behind any of his relatives?
Not at all.
What about his spouse?
Not at all.
So even if the Senate were to accept, for argument's sake, that this company is run by the sons and whatnot, would that, based on our Public Officer Ethics Act or the other act, which is the leadership, and would that be a valid answer to this unexplained wealth?
Section 35 of the Leadership and Integrity Act.
Please say the volume you're reading.
I'm reading from volume 7 in our bundle of documents at page 34. Acting through others. A state officer contravenes the code if the officer A causes anything to be done through another person that would constitute a contravention of the code if done by the state officer, or allows or directs a person under their supervision or control to do anything that is in contravention of the code.
Mr. Speaker, acting through others is what previously I have called it wasn't me. But let's jump to page 79 of volume 2A.
Yes, we are here.
Again, this is documentation for that same property the Deputy President admits he acquired, right?
Yes, through Aberdare. Just for contextualization, Aberdare owned 2 hotels.
Yes.
There is Treetops Hotel.
Yes.
And there is
which one?
Outspan.
Yes.
Outspan is the one that we have demonstrated how it was purchased. Treetops is a property developed by the Kenya Wildlife Service, but it was under the same management of Aberdare, so they were acquired together.
So let's pause at it is owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes.
Is the Kenya Wildlife Service a public or a private entity?
A public entity funded by the taxpayers.
Under our Chapter 6 laws, that is the Public Officer Ethics Act, the Leadership and the Integrity Act, if you want, you can even draw the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, whichever law. Is it consistent with all those laws for the Deputy President of the Republic to acquire without competitive bidding an interest in a resource owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service?
It is not. And in fact, the Deputy President is on record in these proceedings as having said that he advised his family not to transact with government. But we are going to demonstrate that he actually transacted with KWS.
And KWS is a public entity?
And KWS is a public entity.
If this hotel were to be leased or sold, or whatever the language, would there be a requirement for open, competitive, and transparent bidding?
Section 45, which we said we have reasonable grounds to believe that the Deputy President has breached of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. And I'm reading volume 7 at page 23, states as follows. Protection of public property and revenue. A person is guilty of an offense if the person fraudulently or otherwise unlawfully A, acquires public property or public service or benefit, B, mortgages, charges, or disposes of any public property, C, damages public property including causing a computer or another electronic machinery to perform any function that directly or indirectly results in a loss or adversely affects any public revenue or service, or fails to pay any taxes or any fees, levies, charges payable to any public body or effects or obtains an exemption, remission, reduction, or abatement from payment of any such taxes, levies, and fees. Section 46, about abuse of office. A person who uses his office to improperly confer a benefit on himself or anyone else is guilty of an offense.
Now, let's go to page 81 of volume 2A, sir. It's still about Treetops Hotel.
Page
81 of volume 2A.
I'm there.
Can you read for us the last sentence of the second paragraph?
This is a letter. This is a letter from the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes.
To Mr. Amos Kisilo of Kisilo and Wandati Company Advocates.
It's a letter dated when?
The letter is dated
at the top left. What is the date?
5th of June, 2023.
Was His Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of Kenya on that date?
Yes.
It is addressed to who?
It is addressed to Kisilo, Wandati and Company Advocates.
In the Deputy President's own response, is that law firm indicated as one of the law firms he uses?
Yes, indeed.
Good. Now read for us the second paragraph of that letter, beginning with the word however.
However, the tenant is in rent arrears of Kenya shillings 35,481,548, and lodge has not been operational since 2019, which has resulted to deterioration of the same in breach of the lease agreement.
So we are being told this hotel a number of things. One, it has not been in operation for 4 years, correct?
Indeed.
And as a result, it has accumulated rent arrears, correct or incorrect?
And deteriorated, which in effect means it requires renovation money.
Now let's go to page 80 where the Deputy President develops interest in the hotel.
I'm here.
Can you read the opening line of that, the first paragraph of that letter?
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, this is a letter from Kisilo, Wandati and Company Advocates to the Director General of the Kenya Wildlife Service. The opening sentence reads as follows. We act for a party, into brackets our client, who is interested in taking on an assignment of lease of the Treetops Hotel Lodge as defined in the lease agreement dated 31st December 1998 between yourselves and Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited, the lessee.
Please confirm this is a letter by the Deputy President's lawyers.
This indeed is a letter by the Deputy President lawyers, but funny enough, against any all professional knowledge in terms of how you write letters, they do not disclose their client. They just say,
we act for a party. Who is our, does that letter disclose the identity of the client anywhere?
No, it doesn't. And it is a requirement that you must disclose the client even as you move ahead.
Is that how lawyers usually write letters in honest, genuine transactions?
Not at all.
Good. Now let's go.
And I am one of them, so I know.
Let's go to page 83 of volume 2A. What is written there?
Page 83 is a letter to Dr. Kanga, Director General Acting, Kenya Wildlife Service from Aberdare Safari Hotels.
So,
it is about Treetops Lodge debt and lease.
Please hold 83 together with 81. In 81, we are told the hotel has not been in operation for 4 years, and that's why it's in rent arrears, right?
Yes, rent arrears of upwards of 35 million.
And that is on which date?
This is on 5th of June, 2023.
And the letter at page 83 is on what date?
It's 7th of July, 2023, a month later.
How many days in between, roughly?
Roughly a month, 30 days or so.
Roughly a month. And what does this letter say?
The letter says, I refer to Treetops rent arrears debt of Kenya shillings 35 million 481,548 and 14 cents. And I am pleased to inform you that the Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited has today paid via RTGS bank transfer amount of 34,869,797 to KWS main collection Standard Chartered Bank account, and the amount of 611 to KRIF for 2% withholding tax.
So, Honorable Motuse, what do you have to tell the Senate of the fact a company that was in arrears for 4 years, 35 million, it is in distress, it's not in operation, the Deputy President shows interest, and suddenly it is able to pay these arrears of that 5 million?
The Deputy President must be magical. Associating with the Deputy President must be very magical, because you have not operated for over 4 years, you are in debt, you have not been able to service that debt for 4 years, but you have just interacted with him for a month, and you pay your debt overnight.
Now, when you see that, sir, is it consistent with the narrative that your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Not at all. Indeed, our allegations are backed up by cogent evidence, as we have demonstrated.
What is the document at page 85 of volume 2A?
At page 85, this is a letter by Kenya Wildlife Service to one Ken Waiboshi, who is the managing director of Aberdare Safari Lodges, and it is acknowledgement of funds.
How much money?
We acknowledge, the letter reads as follows in paragraph 2, we acknowledge receipt of Kenya shillings 34,481.
As the Deputy President in his response explained, the mysterious availability of these 35 million shillings when he comes to the picture?
I have not seen anywhere where he explains where this money came from.
Page 87, what is that document?
At page 87.
Of volume 2A, Mr. Speaker.
This is novation and assignment of lease agreement and addendum to lease dated 31st December 1998 and 27th July 2023, respectively, between Kenya Wildlife Service, Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited, and Crystal Kenya Limited, the company of interest.
Does this confirm, just like the deputy admitted, that he actually acquired Treetops Hotel?
Indeed, it confirms, and it is not. It has not been contested.
Is your allegation, therefore, Mr. Motuse, about Treetops, false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Come again?
The evidence you just taken the Senate through about Treetops Hotel, is it consistent with the narrative of a move of motion who makes ridiculous, false, and embarrassing claims?
Not at all. It demonstrates that our allegations are not malicious. They are backed.
Let's go to his response in volume 6. It should be page 8, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Speaker. Eight of volume 6.
Yes, there we are. Volume 6. On page.
Okay. Is page 9?
Yes.
At the top of page 9, what does the Deputy President in his response to the National Assembly tell it?
He says, in respect to Crystal Kenya Limited, this company was incorporated in 2009, way before I became Deputy President.
Let's pause there. Is that a valid response to your motion, the date when the company was incorporated?
I am interested in what the company did when Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is Deputy President, and not when the company was incorporated.
Okay, read for us the next line.
I transferred the company to my sons when I became Deputy President.
Is that a valid answer given the things we've just seen about Treetops and Outspan?
It confirms that the sons indeed are acting on his behalf.
Read the next line, please.
It acquired Outspan Hotel and Treetops Hotel following financing by a local bank. I also gave the company a personal loan from funds which were returned to me by the Asset Recovery Agency. I wish to clarify that Treetops Hotel was not bought. It is leased from KWS. The lease was assigned to Crystal Kenya Limited by a private company, Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited. I have annexed the facility letter dated 24th October as well as the company resolution to borrow Kenya shillings 600 million and marked as Annex RG 14 and Annex RG 15 respectively.
Let's go to page 44. This relates to the property called Rogoro Kiamariga 1223.
This is in volume 2?
2A. Volume 2A, Mr. Speaker, page 44. Please confirm from the Deputy President's response whether he has admitted acquiring this property.
Yes, he admits acquiring the property, but goes ahead to make some justifications.
Page 44, Mr. Speaker, volume 2A. The justification he makes is to what effect?
Is that the acreage is different.
Yes.
And also that he bought it for 3.5 million and not 5 million as alleged.
Now let's go to that page 44. What is that document?
This is a document transferred by personal representative to person on intestacy. Basically.
And who is given that transfer? Who is making it?
A certain Naftali Guandraru Gadhogo.
Can you read the opening line of that document?
Public Trustee of the Republic of Kenya, or PO Box 49672 Nairobi, as personal representatives of Naftali Garandau Gadhogo, deceased, hereby transferred to Hannah Gadhongo Mugo. Absolutely.
Who is the public trustee a public officer?
The public trustee is a public office. Under
what circumstances, to the best of your knowledge, does the public trustee obtain letters of administration of an estate, in this case the estate of the deceased Naftali Gwandaru Gadhogo?
In terms of the law of succession, the public trustee only steps in where there are no beneficiaries of a deceased person's estate.
The person to whom the trustee is transferring, is there a picture given there?
Yes, it is given, and I will invite honorable senators to look at it.
What observation do you want them to make about it?
Well, this is a photograph of, I do not want to say disheveled, old lady who signs by appending her thumb, signifying probably she was not even aware of the transaction.
Has she signed or affixed a thumbprint?
A thumbprint.
On the face of it, does that look like a privileged or vulnerable and marginalized Kenyan?
The very vulnerable.
Mr. Speaker, sir, kindly allow me again to bring to the attention of the Assembly that the advocate is leading the witness. He has put a question. Does that, in your own imagination, look like a vulnerable person?
Objection sustained. Counsel for National Assembly, stop leading the witness.
I'm much guided, Mr. Speaker, so we'll proceed. We're on page?
We are on page 44.
44. Did the Deputy President, in his response, disclose that this property initially belonged to a deceased person?
No.
Did he, in his response, disclose that this property was initially vested on the public trustee?
No, he didn't.
Let's go to his response at paragraph 1.4.2, which is on volume 6, Mr. Speaker. Page 4 of volume 6. Can you read paragraph 1.4.2 of the Deputy President's response?
I purchased the land in the year 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds. Some of you are aware that I have dairy farm with close to 200 cows.
Now, let's see who is saying things that are embarrassing, false, and ridiculous. What is the price he has said he acquired it for in that page?
3.5 million Kenya shillings.
Let's go to the agreement he has attached to show how he purchased this property. It is at page 63 of the same volume.
I am here.
Clause number 3, what is given as the purchase price?
The purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million only, to be paid as follows.
Is that consistent?
This is,
volume,
this is volume 6.
We are holding, Mr. Speaker, volume 6, pages 4 and 63. No, it is page 4 of 534 and page 96 of 534. The problem, Mr. Speaker, is there are two sets of pagination. So the one we refer to is the one that says of 534. So we are talking of page 4 of 534. You hold that together with page 96 of 534. My apologies, Mr. Speaker.
In other words, go to page 4 and page 96 of
534. Of volume 6.
Yes.
We'll shortly take you to the paragraphs.
Mr. Speaker, you know I'm under a lot of pressure because of the time. That's why sometimes. So, are we all there, honorable senators? Good. Can you read again for the Senate on page 4 of 534 what the Deputy President says was the purchase price for this property?
This is land parcel number Oguru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madera East constituency. That is on page 3. And on page 4, the Deputy President says, I purchased the land in 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds.
Let's pause it there. He bought it for 3.5 million. Let's go to the document he has annexed to prove that he acquired this property for 3.5 million. It is at page 96 of 534.
Indeed, this is agreement for sale of the whole of LR number title Ruguru Kiamariga 1223, measuring approximately 2.5 acres. And under clause 3, the purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million to be paid as follows.
Given this inconsistency, sir, is it fair for the Deputy President, when he is lying on his own document, to accuse you of presenting material that is false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
It is not fair, and also especially when one of our allegations against the Deputy President is that he consistently misleads the public.
He says that he bought it in the year, back to page 4 of 534, in the year 2023. Was that during his tenure as Deputy President?
Indeed.
He says he has a dairy farm there with 200 cows.
Indeed, he says so.
In his presser on the 7th of October 2024, what did he tell the country was the source of these 200 cows?
If I remember correctly, in the televised address by the Deputy President on that fateful night, he did say that the Kalenjin people of the Rift Valley have gifted him the cows that he keeps in his farm.
Can you now read for us Article 76(1) of the Constitution, what it says about gifts given to public officers?
Article 76, Financial Property of State Officers. 76(1). A gift or donation to a state officer or a public or official on a public or official occasion is a gift or donation to the Republic and shall be delivered to the state unless exempted under an act of Parliament.
Has the Deputy President presented any evidence that he surrendered these gifts to the state?
He says that he has kept them in his farm.
Wouldn't that be an admission by his own public statement of violating Chapter 6?
Indeed, it is an admission and should be treated as such.
Let's go to the land in Meru. Have you placed any evidence to prove this allegation?
I have placed evidence to prove that the Deputy President indeed acquired land in Meru, and to the best of my recollection, he has